So this is a plastic ball valve. I'm not too, I don't like these too much, these plastic ones. They end up, you'll see here, right there's leaking at the bottom. So they tend to leak there, or they leak here at the top over time. But this ball valve particularly was just packed with dirt before. And so I think dirt got in here. So when you turn on and off, it kind of separated a little bit. So I'm gonna change him out. We're gonna put a brass ball valve. And we're gonna put it inside of a box. Let's get it. All right, so we have to kind of perform a little bit of surgery. It's because when we put in this manifold, there was, we had to come off of here, and they didn't want to do this at the time because the house would have to be turned off for 3 to 4 hours to let the glue dry and everything, and they didn't have that kind of time. So at the time, this wasn't leaking as bad. So we just went off of here, and then later on they said this was leaking bad enough to where they would just want to change it out. So, but we are going to cut this off here, and then remove this out, and then we will kind of cut along here like that, and then see if we could chip away this, exposing the pipe, because as you can see we have no room here, and further down this is all pretty this is all pretty tight, the fittings, because there's really no room in this planter or this little spot. It's kind of close. And I'm talking kind of quiet because it is the early mornings. I don't know who's sleeping. But one thing to note, if you're going to use these risers like this, like I am, so I have that screwed in. You could use a metal adapter, but I prefer Schedule 80. But anyway, you screw this in. But if you're going to use these nipples here, okay, if you're going to cut them, just make sure it's a machined nipple, okay, which means they make a whole bunch of these, and then they cut to length, and then they machine the threads themselves. So it's not like a pre-casted type of deal, because those ones you will see there's an actual line coming right down the middle, like a mold that they're molded in, formed and molded in. You'll see a line coming right up the middle, and that means they're just a molded nibble. And if you get those, you try cutting them, a lot of times they'll break, they won't hold, and they just feel different too. So make sure you get a machine nipple. The only ones I would say you are able to cut and glue onto. So, all right, hopefully this angle gets you guys a good look, but go ahead and cut right behind here to get a close cut possible. Alright, I don't think it needs to be said, but just in case for common sense, go turn your water off. Okay, but look, this guy's out. Okay, see the ball just opens and closes. That's how these things turn on and off. Also, you'll see that there is it leaves a lot of burrs, right? So in this pipe especially, we would, before you glue, you'd want to make sure all these burrs are gone. You can get a deburring tool, or just shave them off real quick with a razor blade. But we're gonna end up cutting back a little more anyway. I always like to cut as close as possible so I have room, so I know exactly what I have to cut instead of just trying to guess off the bat and being wrong. But this here, you'll see the two, or the end of the socket was. You can see it like right here, that line. I don't know if you can see that. So the line right there, that's pretty much where the socket ended, because that's the actual pipe, and that's this over here is your actual ball valve fitting, and that inside right there, that's your pipe. So we cut pretty close to it, it's good. And now I'm gonna cut like a V and see if we can pop that out. The trick here is also not going too deep. You don't really want to score the pipe, so you got to be careful of how deep you're going. Problem with these is, as you can see, it's a radius, so I can't really get close to here. If I go any further, I'll probably end up cutting that. So I'm gonna stick to the multi-tool. Great tool to use. That should be good. I'm gonna get a flathead. I'm gonna kind of pry him off and then see if we could tap it through here and kind of spread it out like that, and it should pop all that away from the fitting. Okay. The bottom like that. Okay, so that's part of it. See, nice smooth. Now I gotta work around the rest. Like that. Bam. Good. Now we got this little funky cut right here we gotta deal with. Just like that. Sweet. So clean. Got a little bit of thing right here, but we could just kind of cut them off with the knife. I want to make sure nothing flies on this side, so we'll put like a little bit of a covering over it like that. Okay, just pick it off. Alright. Just want to feel around anything that's like sticking out, or like you feel like a little bump. That's probably going to be just a little piece of glue that's stuck on there. Don't want to shave it too much. Just a little bit. Okay. And you can see it does take some kind of practice, because you gotta learn to not go too deep, and I will deburr the inside there. So, but you see, it's just a, but everything's good. So none of that's scored, just a little scrape. So that's good. So down here, maybe need to clear up this a little bit, but other than that, that's good. We'll deburr this side here. Like I said, you just need to take off the burrs. Easy. That stuff, you want to make sure all that stuff comes out. You don't want that in the line. So I'm kind of coming up with it on top and then dragging it down below to pull out. So there we go. Okay. Let's deburr this. Make sure you get those burrs. That's important, because last thing you want is these burrs on the inside, especially breaking loose when they're flapping back and forth with the water, and then they'll go down and back up the pipe side. So you'd literally break this loose, okay, and then you'd break him loose and him loose, and literally your valves and your whole mainline side can literally lift up out with no cutting. And then you could do any repairs you need done there, and then make sure everything's measured the same, and drop it right back in, tighten all your unions, back in business. So yeah, I'm gonna put this over here. So all right, so you're gonna want to use your purple primer, okay, and I like using 7-Eleven glue when it comes to mainline stuff for sure. So first off, we're gonna mess with this side. Make sure it's got a nice good coat over this. Okay. Do both sides inside the socket. Okay. Always have a rag handy so you have a clean surface to put stuff on if you need to. But the purpose of a union breaks apart. Okay, so it separates the two sides, so now you can do what you want as far as like replacing this new ball valve or doing something over there with the manifold. You always want to make sure it has an O-ring. Okay, without that, definitely make sure dirt don't get in there. But you want to make sure it has an O-ring. That's what helps seal it. Without that, it'll be leaking out of here like crazy. So, like that. Okay. You want to make sure there's no water coming out of the pipe. I see a lot of people just, you know, there's water and they just like gobbing it on everywhere still. And I'm like, yeah, no. Kind of make sure that's not doing that. And then your glue will have these little boogers on them sometimes. Make sure those get off too. So when you put this in, push in and a quarter turn to the right. It just helps fuse it pretty much, okay? Okay, I like to make sure there's not a bunch of glue that's like pooling out right here, which is good. I'm back. Now I will say I'm not a huge fan of Schedule 40 unions. I feel like they're just cheap and crap. So try to get a Schedule 80 if you can. Also, when you push it on, hold on for like 10-15 seconds. Just helps it from not pushing off, because it will. So as you can see, this is why I didn't care about this side, because we will be cutting it back some. And it's going to be just tight. We're going to have to make sure this is like just on point with it. So this we don't have much room for. Gosh dang it. Hey, maybe I just put a rag down there. Jeez. So I want this to be as close as possible, because as you can see, I don't have much room. So if you're looking here at the end of the socket, it's pretty much, let's see what I can use to, I already got my finger like that. Okay, that's your space. It's pretty much right at that first thread right there. Okay, so if I were to measure him in from this back thread here to that first thread there, okay, that's gonna give us pretty close. And cut these slow. Sometimes when it's colder outside, this will just shatter. Gonna push on and then go right there. But I know we can at least cut half of this off, just so it's out of our way. And actually, to tell you the truth, I'm not going to use this side, because thinking about it, okay, other things that just come to your mind after. See how this handle's facing this way? Two things you want to do. I've heard a lot of people say they'll put the handle in the flow of the direction, which is pretty smart, right? That'd be this way. So that's one reason why I want to put that way. Two, if I put the handle this way, my box is gonna have to come way out here now, versus being able to keep it tight right behind this fitting. So let's go ahead and do that. So yeah, I'm gonna cut the side. Now we're cutting both sides. Let's get this side primed up. Okay. Definitely use a smaller dauber. This, unfortunately, happens to be all 1/2 inch. Why they did that, I could not tell you. Previous owners, obviously, a lot of DIY stuff. So you can see I'm right at the threads, right where I want it. So I do like to clean up my beads a little bit, so I'll wipe it like that. So now he can go in here, and our coupling is going to go back here. So I need to cut a little bit or clean up a little bit back there. So So I'll take the clean part to the rag and put over, okay? Keeping everything clean is very important when dealing with main lines. Okay, so don't think lightly of that. It'll just lead to a lot of problems for you later. At least lateral lines, you could flush them out and, you know, turn on water, flush out, turn off, whatever. But main lines, that could cause a lot of problems. Problems with your valves. If it gets back to the potable water, which there's no backflow, so obviously it could, wherever the source is hooked up to, and it gets in that system, then you just got, you know, stuff in there to affect your house water, any of those faucets, stuff like that. So it's cleaner. We'll take the rag and we'll clean this off back here. Okay. All right. Just in case we drop any fittings, it doesn't get all muddy. Now if I were to measure this out, okay, it's gonna be like this. And it seats. So you're gonna want to pretty much make sure it's seated there. Let's see, we actually cut him down a little bit now because we had him cut for the other guy. So we could move him back a little bit, which I think I'm going to. Right here in the middle of the fitting, you'll see like a little line. It's kind of really hard to see, but right there on that line, you'd be able to kind of judge where the halfway mark is. Let's prime up our socket on our coupling. Okay. Now where this is going to get cut, it's going to be back here. So you can take your tool, kind of score it. So I'll put the blade on. Don't know if you can see it, but see the blade right there? It'll go right up against here, flush. And just kind of, okay, score it like that. It's very important to make sure you're lined up. I can see it down here, so I'll show you here in a second. Okay. You can see right there where my blade is, that's right where that mark was. Okay. I can dig in. One hand's a little better, but at that angle at least. Okay, and this will leave you a nice smooth cut. A lot of people want to bevel the ends. Okay, if you want to be real technical with it, textbook, yes, that's what you do. I've never done it, it's never been a problem. But those burrs right there, that's what you do not want. So if you use your multi-tool, it leaves burrs, you will need to clean those up. You can get your burring tool, or like I said, you can get a knife like this, and it just scrapes them off. And you wipe it off, and it cleans them out. And then the outside, same thing. You just do this, which kind of bevels it too. So he's probably a little too long because we need room in the middle of that socket. There is a wall that seats on. So that wall stops it, and you can see it. They don't butt up against each other. So that is a really like a kind of a thick line. So you can see here, I will need the trim, and I will be using the multi-tool because it's definitely too small for my cutters to do. See, that's all the wall is. That's how big it is. Bada bing, bada boom. Definitely don't want to go too much. And now we clean it. Okay, just told you how. Put this fill around, fill any burrs, any rough spots. That's what you want to knock off. Right here. So I kind of pulled away. I don't want to be gobbing everything on him. It's just it looks sloppy. It's not clean and pain in the butt. So this is gonna be kind of a really tight repair, even with one union, just because there's not real much room for flex here. But we will get it done. It'll happen. Come on first. Who's on first? Anyways. You don't really need glue on the seat here either, so don't be putting glue in the front. Just like to hold it for like 10-15 seconds. So I don't know if we'll be able to see what's the best way to get this first. Yeah, I may do that. Push him down, so I have room to kind of push up him and then have it in. So last measurement. Perfect. That's how I do my measuring. Put in the socket. Okay. Pull away. Oh man, this topper's a little bigger, so it makes a little more of a mess, but I try not to. Okay. Okay. Then so I like to do mine at an angle like that. Okay. Just because it's easier to go down and up with. Screw them down. And then just like that. Easy peasy, right? But anyway, you got a good ball valve here. Okay, brass ball valve. Easy to operate. Durable. And him still. So he's right there in the middle. I can see him. I want to make sure that rubber ring, O-ring, is still there. Okay. So I like to leave all this exposed, just because, well, in the box, what I'm saying. I don't like my dirt coming right up against all this. So when I cut this box, I'll be cutting the sidewall to fit around all this pipe. So we can swap sides here. So you can see, obviously, he's hitting here on the pipe, right there. And then this opening here is for this, and then that kind of fits those two. So we will just need to take my marker, and you kind of line it up, and then you just kind of look, and you're like, okay, so we're gonna cut here and here. So there are lines here, okay, and so pretty much I just go to that first line, which is pretty close to where this guy is. So we're gonna start there, and we'll see what advancements we need to make. Bend the back. They usually just snap clean. So put this in. Definitely have to go deeper because you have to go down to here. So I'm gonna go to probably here on those because we got a good chunk. We got left. So. Anyway, there's have all your setup here. Video things and just never brought it back. Okay. See, there's access here. Close it, open it, plenty of room. Okay, that is the whole thing. Next job.